Hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Today's episode is going to be titled, Giving Up, Good or Bad? Giving up is something many people feel compelled to do at some point, especially when they're not getting what they need from a situation. It often seems like the easiest solution, but the reality is more complex. Sometimes giving up can be a strategic decision, an acknowledgement that something isn't worth the time or effort anymore, especially if there are better opportunities to pursue. However, other times, giving up is just impatience disguising itself as practicality, and holding on a little longer could lead to success. Different people have different opinions on whether giving up is good or bad. Society often sells the idea that perseverance is always the right path, that quitting is never an option. But the truth is, giving up isn't necessarily about defeat. It's about being realistic. If someone dreams of becoming a rocket scientist but refuses to pursue higher education, it's unlikely they'll ever reach that goal. In this case, quitting isn't a failure. It's a rational decision based on the effort required versus the desire to succeed. On the other hand, some things are entirely achievable with persistence, like losing weight. Anyone can lose weight if they commit to the process and fight for it. The concept of giving up depends on mindset. Many breakthroughs happen right before people reach their breaking point, when frustration is at its highest but success is just around the corner. Some people abandon their goals only to return later and succeed. Businesses are a great example of this. Many entrepreneurs give up early, assuming failure is inevitable when profits aren't immediate. The truth is, businesses don't usually start making money until the fifth or sixth year. If someone gives up before that milestone, they might be missing out on future success. Out of 12 businesses, at least 11 may fail, but that means one might succeed. The key is taking a chance and staying in the game long enough to see the results. Society pressures people to view failure as a personal flaw, but that's not always fair. Some things simply don't work out, and that doesn't mean someone is a failure. It means they tried. Giving up can sometimes be the best solution, especially when the losses outweigh the potential gains. Large corporations make strategic decisions to shut down locations that aren't profitable. For example, Walmart closes certain Sam's Club stores when sales and memberships decline. Keeping those stores open would mean paying high expenses without seeing a return on investment. A similar scenario applies to small businesses, like a shop selling musical equipment. If expenses like rent and electricity bills exceed profits by thousands of dollars, continuing the business wouldn't be wise. Balancing persistence and practicality is crucial. While giving up is often discouraged, sometimes it's the smartest choice. Other times, pushing forward despite obstacles is what leads to success. A restaurant owner in my city once campaigned relentlessly for a seat on the city council. Despite multiple failed attempts, he continued running for office. Eventually, an opportunity arose when a council member stepped down, and he was appointed to the council. If he had given up earlier, he never would have achieved his goal. His persistence paid off. Modern technology has made pursuing goals easier. Running for public office, for example, no longer requires expensive campaigns. Social media allows candidates to advertise for free, making perseverance more accessible to those who don't have large budgets. If the restaurant owner had given up, he would have missed out on an opportunity that eventually fell into place simply because he kept going. Gaming is another example of perseverance paying off. I remember striving to reach 100,000 gamer score on Xbox Live. Along the way, I faced countless moments of doubt, especially when I hit 95,000 points and felt like quitting. But giving up at that stage wouldn't have made sense. I was already so close. When I finally reached the goal, I realized that pushing through the frustration had been the right decision. Education is another area where people struggle with the decision to quit. A friend of mine dropped out of high school in 11th grade, just before graduation. She could have finished her education with only a little more effort, but she believed quitting was the right choice for her at the time. Fortunately, life worked out well for her. She became a school bus driver earning over $26 an hour with a comfortable home and financial stability. Even though she had dropped out, she later considered returning to earn her GED, proving that she hadn't truly given up, she had simply taken a break. The way people view giving up is deeply personal. Some believe quitting is never an option, while others see it as a necessary part of life. Everyone has their own perspective, shaped by personal experiences and beliefs. One interesting pattern is how breakthroughs often happen right when people feel like quitting. It's almost as if something is watching out for them, guiding them towards success at the last moment. Online dating is another area where people frequently feel like giving up. Many become frustrated when they don't get the results they want, leading them to delete their accounts. But often they return later and try again. In those cases, did they truly give up, or did they simply take a break? Many times people don't quit altogether. They step away for a while and come back with a fresh perspective. That's an important distinction to make because sometimes what seems like giving up is really just a much-needed break. Another example is how people pursue creative careers. Many aspiring musicians, writers, and artists feel discouraged when they don't get immediate recognition. It's easy to believe that giving up is the best option when their work doesn't attract attention, but success in creative fields often takes years of persistence. The breakthrough often happens when least expected, proving that patience and consistency can turn things around. The challenge is knowing when giving up is truly necessary and when persistence is the better choice. It's not an easy decision, but it's something everyone faces at some point. Whether it's a career goal, a business venture, an education path, or personal improvement, success often hinges on endurance. At the same time, learning to recognize when a path is not worth continuing is just as valuable. Balancing these perspectives is what ultimately leads to the right decisions. Anyways, thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Signing out. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye for now.